Like my mind is always changing, but it's always in coffee. There's just so many different jobs, and I think that's just so interesting. Like, and they all have a lot of value in the industry, and I really like it because you're just surrounded by people all the time.
Here at Dirty Linen, we absolutely love celebrating young talent in the hospitality industry. One of our favourite next generation guests is Liam Scotchmer, who was on the show earlier in 2023. But we are getting him back on today because it is exactly a year since he made his first proper coffee. Liam Scotchmer, Sydney barista, welcome back to Dirty Linen.
Thanks, Dani. Thank you for having me again.
So good to have you on the show. We love following your career. Tell us a bit about yourself, where you work and what you do there.
Well, I work at Singular, and I was on this podcast a bit under a year ago. And like, as I listened to that one, I realized how much I didn't know at that time. And so year onwards, just after working with Singular and making new relationships with other people in the coffee industry, just managed to learn so much. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing pretty much every day.
So great. Well, what are some of the things that you've learned, things that you know now that you perhaps didn't even know that you didn't know back then?
I think the biggest one was the people just behind coffee. Everyone just thinks coffee is like you get a flat white and a cappuccino, but it's just the most interesting part is just all of the different coffee origins and the people who work in those origins. Obviously, I haven't been yet, but I've just been able to make relationships with green coffee buyers, importers, commodity traders, people who are sales reps for green coffee companies. So it's just really cool seeing all the people behind coffee. So yeah.
And I know that you've also started doing competitions, which is crazy because are you 17 now?
Yeah, I'm 17.
So tell me about, you're pushing yourself. It's not that you're just sort of sitting back. Tell me about, what you see, what you want to do when it comes to competitions.
Well, I feel like when there's something I really enjoy, I have quite an obsessive personality, I think, and I just try to perfect that one thing. I don't like to do multiple things, just one thing and try to perfect it. And I feel like coffee is one of them. So I'm definitely nowhere near perfecting it, but I'm really trying to. But competitions just feels like sort of like checkpoints, like each competition. If I win a competition or I lose a competition, it's just a checkpoint, and I just know maybe I need to keep learning or what to improve. So I've done a few competitions. Some of them have gone well, not all of them. We had one at Singular one time with all of the staff, and so it was just an internal competition, and we were given a coffee to dial in over 2 weeks. And on the day we had to bring that recipe to the competition. And it was just, you brew an AeroPress against someone else and the best cup on the table wins. And so I somehow managed to win that one. So that was really, really motivating. Yeah.
It's amazing that you managed to win something. Not that I'm surprised in your talent, but just at such a young age and so early in your career. So, what does it mean to dial in? Why would it take you 2 weeks to perfect the way that you make a certain coffee?
Well, dialing in is it's choosing the dose, the yield, the grind size, the temperature. They all affect coffee in a different way. It's quite difficult to do. You have to just really taste things. If it's tasting bitter and over extracted, you want to use, for example, a lower water temperature, or maybe go coarser with the grind. But that also changes a billion other variables, the strength of the beverage goes down, for example. So it's just really just trying to balance everything, and it just takes a long time. But I also have gotten into changing variables in water with the help of my friend Simon Gothran. And so with him, he's taught me different minerals that are already in water, but we make concentrates of each mineral. and then we can choose how much of each mineral we want in the water. So for example, calcium chloride, it makes the body very thick. And the reason is because calcium's in milk and yogurt, and the reason they're so heavy is because of the calcium. So if you add it to coffee, it just makes it thick. I have no idea why, but we just go off taste, and it's really interesting.
Wow, it's so fascinating. I mean, you've obviously learned a lot already, but what have you learned about the world of coffee and the depth and does it feel like it's endless in where you could take this?
Definitely feels like it's endless, and something I've realized is I really enjoy the business behind it as well. And so I've really gotten recently into business, especially through school, reading like annual reports and things about companies. I think it's really interesting how you price like coffee, because obviously you need to make money from it to sustain a business. I think that's really interesting. And so I really want to combine my coffee, like my passion for coffee, with my passion for business. And I'm hoping that would take me really far. And so, yeah.
How are you balancing studies and work at the moment?
So I do it through TAFE, and so I do school 3 days a week. It's all online, so it means like right now I'm sitting at the library. It just means I have to go to the library and study. I don't have teachers telling me to do the work. It's very just have to be very disciplined. So I start school at 9, finish at 3:20. I have recess and lunch, and I just have it all very scheduled. And then I do Singlo 4 days a week. So it means I can finish my education and then go to university while still building a relationship with Singlo. Because one day I'd really like to have a management position in Singlo, because I just really, really enjoy it there. So I've kind of got the best of both worlds at the moment. So it's really lucky.
Wow, exceptional. I mean, I've just had a child finish VCE, and there is just no way she would have been disciplined to do it without the structure of the school around her. So I am, endlessly impressed with what you are managing to achieve, Liam. Tell me about the people at Single O, and, what's the environment like? Are there any key people there that support you in all your endeavours?
I think there was I think it was last week, I was having some issue with my business homework. So I just messaged Mike, the general manager of Singlo, just if he could help me with my homework. And then he said we could call at 8 o'clock. I think it was on a Friday night or something. And so we just ended up calling at 8 o'clock at night. And we just, for an hour, he just helped me with my homework for business class. And that was just Singlo is not just work. It's literally life. They help me with absolutely everything. Even just a little business assignment they'll help me with. That was so nice to have that.
Well, it's great. I bet you're not the only one thinking that you might end up in a management position at Single O. They might have their eye on you for that as well, Liam.
I hope so, yeah.
I know that one of the things that you do is work at the Carriage Works market in Sydney on a Saturday. Tell me about that experience, and, is it about engaging with people? Is it about helping their day start off right? Tell me what that's like for you.
Carriage Works, for me, it's quite it's different to in a cafe. We don't have proper, it feels like we're going camping every single Saturday. So I really enjoy it for that reason. And everyone's just so nice. We do a lot of coffee that day, but it's just a lot of different people from all different backgrounds, and especially the store holders I really enjoy, because like me with coffee, they all have a really intense passion for what they do. It's just really nice to be around all of them. They're just very motivated to do what they do. And so, I just love being around them. And I just meet a lot of different people. Last Saturday, I met Chad Robinson, who wrote Tartine. And I think that was really cool because my mum bought me the book Tartine, and I started making a sourdough starter from that. And then we grew it every morning. And so it was just really cool to see Chad Robinson and be able to serve him coffee. So, just wild that people like that come every Saturday to Carriage Works.
Oh, that's so great. I'm sure you're getting the sense that in the food and drink world, there are so many connections and overlaps. And yeah, people love to, I guess, introduce you to other people in similar fields.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from that, like, this is not really Carriage Works, but in a similar field, I really enjoy wine. Like, I only have it with my godmother, but she lets me have some tasters sometimes when I go to her house in Tasmania. And I try to like taste it and then figure out the flavor note, and then she tells me if it's correct. So I'll taste, and then she'll look at the flavor note on the bottle, and I'll just try and figure out what it is. Like one time I was tasting, I was just trying to think, I was like, grapefruit, because it was like this dry, really intense acidity, and then it was grapefruit. And then she said there was one more flavor note on the bottle. And so I thought about it for a while, and it said strawberry, and it was strawberry, grapefruit and strawberry on this bottle of rosé. So it was just like, yeah, so interesting. Like coffee and wine is so similar.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And I mean, a lot of people move between those worlds. So yeah, who knows what's in your future? Is there something that's just so amazing that you've learnt about coffee or making coffee over the past year that's just, yeah, really blown your mind?
Mm-hmm. I think I said this in the last episode, but I think it's just how many different jobs I could do. Like, there's just so many. Like, my mind is always changing, but it's always in coffee. There's just so many different jobs, and I think that's just so interesting. Like, and they all have a lot of value in the industry, and I really like it because you're just surrounded by people all the time. But yeah, I think I've decided I want to be like a commodities trader, so someone who trades commodities on the stock market, and I want to do it specifically with green coffee from coffee producing countries. And so yeah, it's just so cool that there's just so many different jobs in it.
Oh, that's so interesting. Because I know from, stories I've written about coffee, the whole idea of a crop being a commodity and it's traded in the future is as futures. It's so abstract, but it's so interesting. You're obviously so into coffee as a material, as a substance, as something that, can change someone's day, but then to also have this idea of working with it in this more abstract field, it's, really fascinating. I suppose you're proving your own point about there being so many different aspects to coffee.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think that's why it works out so well, because I wouldn't just be like, I really appreciate this, produce. And so, yeah, it's not just business minded, it's also just quality focus. And I think I can combine the two.
Wow, I would love to see that. And I reckon so many coffee farmers would love to see that as well. So, yeah, we'll keep going. So, Liam, I have had quite a big step in my coffee journey since we last had you on the show. And that is that I now have a mocha master, and I am loving the coffee I'm making in that. What is your view of the Mocha Master? Do you now think I'm a better person for having one?
I mean, I first ever started making filter coffee with the Mocha Master at a bakery that I worked at in Berlin. So I really like them. We make something similar at Singular, and I just love it because, especially if you get really nice single origin coffee, just the best way to start the morning. Like, I know Dani, who I used to work with at Carriage Works, he makes coffee with the Mocha Master every morning, and Dion, the owner of Singular. So definitely like very popular way of making coffee. So
awesome. And what's your favorite coffee to start the day with?
It kind of depends on my mood. Natural and washed coffee is quite different. I explain them natural coffee like red wine, so very heavy and very sweet. And what washed coffee is like white wine, very like crisp and light. So just kind of depends how I'm feeling. Like this morning I was very tired, and so I just really needed to wake up. So this morning I had a natural coffee from Costa Rica at one of my favorite cafes, Diggy Doos in Sydney. And so yeah, kind of just depends on my mood, but that's why I love coffee, because it's never boring.
Totally. How many coffees would you be having a day at the moment?
It's hard to say in the cafe. I'm just constantly tasting. Today I probably had like 3. So Yeah.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your 1 year anniversary. I feel like we're going to need to celebrate this every year in your long and exciting career. I'm sorry to take you away from the school books for a little bit, Liam. I feel guilty, but thank you for making the time to have a chat to us. We really appreciate it.
Oh no, I would so do that for this. Thanks so much, Dani.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinenat deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.